So the Xbox showcase happened. A lot of great games have been revealed. Lots of great trailers, some great gameplay, and one in particular which had me literally stand up. Now we'll talk about it in this episode. Everybody, this is Tyrus. Welcome to LOD Xtra episode 7. E-Day has come. So during the excellent Xbox showcase, we had a surprise drop of Gears of War E-Day. Now, I know there was a Gears of War game rumored for a while. Obviously, I really like Gears, so I tried to just ignore them and then hopefully wait and see a trailer. And that sort of paid off for me when the trailer started and I realized what I was watching. I literally stood up. And yeah, this episode will just sort of talk about Gears E-Day and why I think continuing Kate's story wasn't going to be a good idea, at least not right now anyway. Now, first things first, address the, I don't know, I read there was backlash about the trailer and stuff, which I think, you know what, crybabies are going to cry. The trailer was made by an outside company with Gears of War E-Day assets, so the gameplay may not look like this trailer, which, see, to be honest with you, that's fine. It was not a gameplay trailer, it was a reveal trailer, and that, you know, sometimes the games change drastically from reveal to when we finally get them. I mean, one good example of that for me was Resistance Fall of Man for the PlayStation 3 back at one of the early E3s. The gameplay looked totally different and some of the Chimera looked totally different, and then obviously when we got the finished product it did look quite different. So it could still be the case here. Now, Coalition being the absolute units they are with Unreal Engine tech, I actually wouldn't put it past them that they could actually come up with something pretty close to this trailer in terms of graphical fidelity and stuff. So I will happily, patiently, well, maybe not patiently, wait for a gameplay reveal. Now, I can't see this coming out next year. I don't know. Hell, I hope I'm wrong, but with there being no gameplay, there's maybe, you know, we're maybe further off than people think. I know that's the sort of impression I'm giving myself. Now, the fact that it's a prequel and it's set on E-Day, young Marcus, young Dom. I mean, I recently started listening to the Aspo Fields. Aspo? Is it Aspo or Astro? Aspo. I'm probably not even saying it right. Fields Gears of War audiobook. And it sort of takes place, excuse me, before E-Day, and hearing what Marcus and Dom was like before E-Day to now obviously having the game which is on E-Day, I think is going to be cracker, and I actually think that's what Gears of War needs right now. I mean, I love Gears of War 4. I'm going to trigger some people saying that. I love Gears 5, but the story just, I don't know. The gameplay was sound, the graphics were unbelievable, the audio design on Gears 5 alone is absolutely unbelievable, but the story just, I just didn't care. I love the journey for Kate, you know, trying to figure out what's wrong with her, and then the matriarch stuff and all. I loved all that, but there were certain aspects of Fat Gears 5 story which just did not interest me enough. And then the choice at the end is just, what's the point? Are you gonna have both of these guys back for Gear 6, and you know, it'll play whoever you pick to survive? Like, you're just giving yourself more work, costing more money, or I don't know. Like, I don't like silly choices like that at the end of games, because it's just what ending ends up being canon, what ending ends up carrying forward to the sequel. It's just because you've created two different groups of fans now. The fans that chose to save one person opposed to the other. And then there's a group of fans that you're just going to piss off. You're setting yourself up for a little stumble. And no, I just don't like it. I just don't. Also thought the Swarm in some ways were fantastic, and in other ways they weren't imposing. Like, the Locust was always like, oh shit, the Locust. The Swarm's always like, let's go, boys. There's the Locust over there. Let's go over there and mess them up. You know what I mean? It's a vibe difference. The fact that the Locust in the trailer is absolutely dominating Marcus could be like maybe one of a couple of things. Marcus just being purely, what the hell is this? Or just not having the experience. Like, it could be anything, you know, because like in the Gears games, you see him taking on Locust, no bother. Maybe not one-to-one like that, but he doesn't seem to have a problem handling them later. That, for me, that probably is down to, you know, Marcus looks very young in this. I would say maybe 18, 19 or something like that. He joins the COG when he's 18. He's maybe a little older than what I just said, but, you know, he's still pretty young. And this Locust is throwing him about like an absolute ragdoll. Like, having Dominic Santiago back in the Gears of War game is absolutely the cherry on top. Dom was a brilliant character in the book. So far, Dom's been an absolute blast. I just can't wait to see what they do with E-Day. I'm not too fussed that they didn't carry Kate's story on for 6. And I know I keep bringing that up because in some ways I'm disappointed, and in some ways I'm happy enough, because I'm not 100% sure that they knew really where to go with 6. Because like Rog Ferguson's not there anymore, and I know I'm one of these guys that basically says that one man does not make a game. Like, fair enough, he's the guiding point that everyone follows, and that like he'll have this like the bigger picture and help everybody get the bigger picture. But without Rod Ferguson, I don't know if they could do 6. Like, I don't know if the story details were shared. I don't know if there was like any sort of creative input from him for 5, and like I just don't know like the internal workings of the coalition. And part of me thinks, right, some of the guys aren't there, some of the leadership's not there anymore. It's a slightly different studio. Like, studios are a revolving door of people coming and going, and it's like the ship of Theseus? If you change all the planks of wood, if you replace every part of the ship, is it still the same ship? You know, if you change everybody in the studio, is it the same studio? Or just silly things, I guess. I mean, Battlefield's a good example when you look at that. It's still DICE, but they can't make shit. So, yeah, it's not the same studio anymore. Gears of War E-Day, I hope we have a good, solid campaign. The open world stuff from 5, sometimes it worked, sometimes it just felt like filler. So I'm hoping because of E-Day that we spent a lot of time in like big cities and stuff, like big claustrophobic areas. Like Gears 1 had, I think, the setting down to an absolute fine art. That sort of dark, gloomy, horror-ish sort of feel. The multiplayer, they need to do better with the multiplayer. I mean, I'm probably setting off a few people by saying that I just don't vibe with the multiplayer anymore. I haven't enjoyed the multiplayer, the versus multiplayer now, of Gears since 3. I didn't like 4. 4 felt very, like, you could just ham it. As soon as you got a shotgun or a sniper rifle, you just hammed it the rest of the game. If you were a good shot with those weapons and you were good with them, that was it. That just wasn't fun for everybody that either didn't like those weapons or just wasn't good with them. Gears 5 was the same. Contrary to what a lot of people feel and a lot of people say, Gears 5 did play better, but in a lot of way, the multiplayer was still, you could still cheese it, ham it, and Horde mode. Love Horde mode. I hope we get a Horde mode. If not, then what else could we get? Because they couldn't do, that escape mode again. At least I don't think they could. I mean, I do really like it, and I keep meaning to go back onto that and play that because it's, I did find it really enjoyable. But there's a lot of hope riding on E-Day. I mean, there's a lot of people hoping that E-Day is going to be one of the games that makes the whole industry just look at Xbox again and think, right, these boys are out to compete. Because everywhere you look, it's the same old nonsense. PlayStation does something. Oh, this is smart. This is great. This is like peak, blah, blah, blah. Xbox is the same bloody thing. It's like, oh, Xbox is in trouble. Is this the end of Xbox? It's like, oh, boys, come on, the fuck, change the tune. Xbox is trying, and it's clear to see the games that are coming from this showcase. Some of them look absolutely unbelievable. Indiana Jones, I had reservations about that game in the beginning up until this showcase. I maybe have said differently to some people, but for the most part, I think the Indiana Jones games looks unreal. There's some new titles coming up. What do you call that one? Something Midnight. You'll have to forgive me. It looks really, really interesting. It looks like a sort of clay style animation. I don't know if they actually did like make the characters out of clay and stuff and then use the computers, or if it's all rendered. I'm not sure. It looked great. It seemed very interesting. I like, games that use like lore and the vibe and the feel and the aesthetic of different places, and it looks like it's going to be an interesting addition. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a big mad system seller like some people are starting to tout it to be. I've seen a few people say, oh, everyone's sleeping on this game, it's going to be big. I just don't see it being massive, but I see it being a very, very good game. I like half the rest of the showcase, aside from Call of Duty, just immediately slipped from my mind. As soon as I seen E-Day, everything just switched off, and I just went, you know what? I need a new Xbox controller. I need a new headset. I need to get my fan cleaned out. Like, I need to get my Xbox up into peak condition again, and I need to get the Gears games installed, and I need to play the absolute bollocks out of every one of them. Now, one good thing that has come out of this is that my daughter has shown an interest. Like, she's seen my reaction to it, and sort of asked if she could play the games with me. So like I probably would have been on to the second or third game by now had I been just playing it solo, but because she's wanting to play it with me the whole way, I just went, right, you know what, okay, great, I'll get another controller, we'll get a battery pack for it, you know, stuff like that, and then whenever I'm not working and she's not at dancing or up at her nanny's, then we can sit and play Gears of War. We're about halfway through Gears of War 1. I didn't make her play the original 360 version. I played the Ultimate Edition. It'll be interesting to see her reaction when I go from it down to Gears of War 2, but I think the 4K 60 of the Series X will, you know, sort of smooth it out for her, and that she'll like it. I really do hope she will. I passed over Judgment. I know some friends will be like, oh, you should have played Tactics first, and then you should have played Judgment, and then Gears 1. You know what? Nah. I'll play them in whatever order I want. I'm playing Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't know if I'll maybe play 5 the whole way through. And then I'll play Judgment. I'll maybe play Judgment between 2 and 3. Maybe something different instead of, you know, burning myself out, because I do want to play them all from the start to finish again, but obviously my daughter's a kid and certain things are difficult, and the krill part of Gears 1 really started to get under my skin. Like, I didn't get cross, I didn't get annoyed, I didn't say anything to her, always just being really supportive, because that part of the game was a bit of a ball breaker, and she really struggled with it. I really did my best to help her get through it, and like that one part of the game alone took a couple of hours. The amount of times I died, man, you would not believe it. I'm hoping that E-Day obviously sparks a lot of interest in the older games again. I mean, I did see an article where like people playing Ultimate Edition like jumped up like 300 odd %, but it didn't really give you any numbers there. Like, you know, there could be 5 people playing it and then 300% more. It's still not a hell of a lot of people, but like they don't release numbers anymore. They used to blow their own trumpet, now they don't really. But so thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this average length episode of LOD Xtra. As with the previous episode, I will be making a tweet, and you guys can ask Tyrus. Like, this whole episode was an Ask Tyrus segment. This entire episode was the first Ask Tyrus segment, where Stubbs asked about E-Day. Now, Ask Tyrus doesn't necessarily need to be an entire episode. It could just be a question. It could just be something you want me to touch on. Ask Tyrus will be in the next episode as well, where I'm going to talk a little bit about Diablo 3. The guys were talking about the expansion pass, which I don't have. I don't really plan on buying it either. I'm sort of burnt out of Diablo 4. Just because there's some things about it that rubs me up the wrong way. I've messed my character build up, so I feel weak as shit. So yeah, I've got a lot to do on it before I'm at a place where I think that I'm, you know, comfortable enough just to play it away and not have any problems. And I just can't be arsed because I just don't have the time with the kids and work, and it's just basically looking for time from me that I don't have really to give it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the next episode I'll be looking into the DLC and talking about Diablo 4, and just if I talk about Diablo 4 for a certain amount of time and I sort of run out of things to talk about it, then if I have a new Ask Tyrus segment, then I will use it. Tom did also post something. Out of sheer fairness, I will mention it, but It's a Monty Python reference, and I don't want copyrighted, so you can shove your holy hand grenade up your hole. I'm not doing it. Thank you guys for watching and or listening to this episode of LOD Xtra. I have been your host. This has been LOD. I've said that one too many times. I'll see you guys in the next one.